Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. Back with the man, myth, the legend, Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm excited, Mike. How you doing?
Oh, I got three. We got three great topics today. The first one, I'm going to be honest. I'm freaking out a little bit. I'm hoping you can calm me down. Basically, I read this morning that purchase applications are up 8% week on week, so pretty cool. I'm fighting off a sneeze. Sorry, but what inside of that, adjustable rate mortgages jumped 10%. As someone who has PTSD from adjustable rate mortgages blowing up last time, and in my opinion, being at least the spark, if not the tender, for the housing crash, the Great Recession, how the hell can adjustable rate mortgages be going up like this? Did we not learn our lesson? This is stupid. Why are we being stupid again? What can you tell me about ARMs today?
Hopefully I can calm you down because I see like how these things are underwritten along with all loans for the most part nowadays. And I know how conservative and how well underwritten the loans that are being written today are. Okay. The first thing I'd probably want to say is if we go up 1% or I'm sorry, 10%, from 10% to 11, okay. Or whatever that number is, I'm not sure what it exactly is. We're not 50, Mike, like 15 years ago, we were 40 to 50% ARMs. Yeah. And they were, adjusting in 6 months, adjusting in 24 months, adjusting in 36 months. Nowadays, for whatever reason, the lenders that I'm pricing ARMs at, like their 10-year ARMs are priced as good, and in some cases better. And trust me, that doesn't make sense to me either, than the 5 and 7 years. But
so okay, let's talk about this. Because again, I invested last time, saw people blow up. The average duration of the ARM in the last crisis, again, we were 52% ARMs at the peak, was 2 years. Yes, there were 6 and 12 months, but the average duration was 2. What you're telling me now is the minimum is 5?
Well, there are some products, but I guarantee you, without even looking at the numbers, vast majority are 5, 7, 10. Yeah. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, 7 and 10 are being written more than the 5. There's just not enough. There's extra conditions that make writing a 5 harder. Okay. And so when I look at it, if it's only 15 basis points different in price, why not give yourself an extra 2 years? And what I've been seeing lately, not just at one investor, but in multiple investors, is that 10-year ARM is better priced than the 7.
Wow.
So I haven't spent the time to look into that and dig into why.
Can you give me some numbers? So again, 30-year fixed today, best credit, I don't know, 6.5, 6 3/8.
It's actually a lot lower. I think Mortgage News Daily is 6.07. Okay. In a later video, I'll talk about some of the price wars that are going on. But I guess just for this example, let's just use 5.5. For which we're actually close to on a 30-year fixed.
5.5, 30-year fixed?
Yeah.
Whoa.
We'll get to that in a later video. People are going to have to dig for the video where we talk about the wholesale price wars and what's going on there.
So what would a 10-year ARM? I'm trying to get the delta.
I think the 10-year ARM's probably 4.75. It's going to fluctuate between 3/4 and a point, so 4.5 to 4.75 on those ARMs. It varies pretty widely too. And this is why it's hard without a specific scenario. Sure. Jumbo versus conventional credit. My stance still is that it doesn't make a lot of sense to a first-time home buyer, the average home buyer, to do an ARM, especially if the incentive is 0.75%. Okay. You're much better off just getting a 30-year fixed. If you refinance it in a few years and you paid 0.75 more, no big deal, right? You had the certainties. If you stayed in this loan, you're set. Yeah. Where I really truly believe it's in the benefit of the consumer is when somebody comes to me and says, I'm buying this place. I've got a client right now who's moving from out of state to California, and says, I'm going to sell my departing residence within the next 2 to 3 years. When I do, I'm going to throw that money at this new mortgage, do a cash in refinance. If rates are better, which a lot of folks think in the coming few years they will be, for this person to take out a $1.4 million loan on a 30-year fixed when they can save $800 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put them in a 10-year arm. Like they're planning on doing something in 2 to 3 years, and they've got 10 years just in case, because the price is real close to the 7 and the 5. No reason to have the shorter term when you can be guaranteed, and 10-year arm versus, like you said, an average of 24 months on the arms 15 years ago.
Very
different. Big difference. Yeah. And the other thing to consider is, I know in 2007, 2008, 100% LTV, 620 credit score, those like no asset, no income, like Nina loans, those were arms. I can guarantee you, Mike, like the people that are qualifying for arms are, really good credit, stable income, and it's being underwritten so that they're not getting extra buying power from doing an arm.
I think that's the key that I didn't know, is because in the past, again, I can only tell you the experience I have. People were being underwritten at the discounted rate. And it would be a
teaser rate where it was like this, and then,
it'd be like, dude, I know a person that got a 0.9%. I think it was a 12-month teaser. Let me just tell you, that property, it may have cash flowed at 0.9. It did not cash flow at 9.9.
Right. Yeah, that's a big difference. And I saw that stuff too, where it was, neg am, and then it adjusted. So anybody who is on my side as a mortgage originator wouldn't feel good about, hey, your payment's $1,300, I'm going to qualify you. It could go up to $3,000 within 24 to 36 months.
Good luck.
Because the problem with it, Mike, is, and I know, the average consumer, oh, no worries, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll get a roommate, I think I'm going to get a raise. If everything works out perfect, I can make the payment at $3,000. In reality, a medical bill comes up, the heating and air unit goes out, and all of a sudden, like, you're on the brink of foreclosure. So I don't see that stuff. I think,
I still have PTSD from arms. I'm glad they're different. First off, the duration's a big deal, right? A 10-year arm versus a 2-year arm, very different. I like seller financing. I won't do anything less than 10 years. So 10-year arm makes sense. The average duration is 8 years. I think that's going to increase going forward, given all the interest rate lock-in, but I think 10 years makes sense. I think the real key for an ARM is you need to have a plan. Hence your example, right?
Right.
In 3 or 4 years, I'm going to sell this other thing. I'm going to walk away with X amount. I'm going to throw it at the loan. You know, if you have a plan, that's great.
And that's the conversations I'm having, you know, like it's less important to say what a rate's going to be in 5 to 7 years. What is your personal financial situation going to be like? Are you still going to be getting W-2 income? Are you still, you know, going to have good credit? And that's the things where, you know, a hope and a prayer is not a good game plan. How are you going to, you know, refinance this into fixed rate debt or pay it off and sell it? Whatever the plan is, have a plan.
Let's go back to the owner occupant, because I just want to poke at that one more time. Let's say I'm an owner occupant. And again, I think you gave me 5.5 and 4 3/4. I'm just using this as an example. Let's assume I come to you and I get a no answer at 5.5, but I get a yes answer at 4 3/4 on a 10-year ARM. To me, at least in most situations, that's a not yet. I would want people to be fully qualified at the existing rates, but I don't know, is 10 years long enough where you feel like you have 10 years of raises and other stuff coming on, where if you get a yes at 4 3/4, but a no at 5.5, I mean, how do you square that?
Yeah. I mean, that's so specific because I'm running into the same thing where it's, you know, as we start losing affordability, people get more creative.
Absolutely.
And it might not be that they're going to an ARM. It might be that, hey, if I offer X on this property that is what the seller wants, but I ask them for 10,000 in credit and I use that 10,000 to buy down to 4.75, you're in the same place, right?
That's true.
You're still in a 30-year fix, but it's like, hey, is this thing truly fitting into my budget, or am I making it work?
So I just want to talk about that, because what you just did there is something that's why you're a professional, right? Basically, you can pay the seller their number, just, you know, 375, just making this up, but include 10,000 in closing costs or point. I don't know how you agent figure out how you write it, but basically have the seller buy your points. That's what home builders are doing, right? Greg Dickerson, my Monday guest, is saying home builders in these areas are basically buying down people's rates. So if you qualify at 4 3/4, 10-year ARM, see if the seller right? Work with a professional like Matt to figure out what it costs and then get a credit from the seller to buy it down. I think that's genius. I didn't even think.
Yeah, we might even do a separate video on that, Mike, because that rate buy down strategy, my thumbnail and my title might not have been great on Tuesday, but I made a video on that for owner occ and for investors, right? If you're an investor, it's all about, getting to a number that works for you. And sometimes that number is purchase price and interest rate so that your debt payment is correct. So let's do a video on that one for sure.
We will do that next. So as we wrap up ARMs, I'm going to tell you, again, I have too much PTSD from the last time. I'm not a huge ARM fan. I would tell all my followers and investors, underwrite the deal with 30-year fixed rate money. And if it works, it works. But then if you have a strategy that you can get a lower rate because you're going to be in and out of it in 5 or 6 years, great. But please underwrite the deals with 30-year money. Just know where you stand. I don't like interest rate risk. I won't do anything less than 10 years. But hey, if I'm going to do a 10-year seller carry, might I do a 10-year ARM? It's kind of the same, because I got to refi out anyway. So maybe you made me feel a little bit better. Certainly not crazy like 2006 crazy.
Yeah, I think ultimately the thing to remember is have a plan. If you don't have a plan, go to greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out the form. We'll get you started. We'll help you develop your plan.
Awesome, buddy. I appreciate you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.